Okay, so today we're going to talk about creating a resume. A resume is basically you on paper. A resume is used for people to get a quick snapshot of you and your job experience and your school, like educational experiences and your skills when applying for jobs. Because think about it. An employer they don't know anybody, so somebody in Lansing who has a job opening is probably going to get, depending on the job, hundreds of applications for one job. A resume allows somebody to make judgments about you based on what you've written. Yes, that means that based on how organized it is, based on your spelling and grammar, based on your experiences that you've written, they are making judgments about you as a person. So those are some hidden things that they're looking at about you. If you come in with a resume that is messy, unorganized, everything is spelled wrong, right away, what do you think is going to happen to that resume? They're going to put it in the trash, okay? They want somebody competent, and resumes are one way to show competence, as well as demonstrating your skills. This is my personal resume. I always use my resume as an example because, I don't mind sharing it with you. At the top, there should be your name, and your name should be the thing that sticks out the most because you want them to remember your name. Next, you're going to want to have your contact information, okay? If they're going to send you things in the mail, or if they're going to try to call you to contact you or email you, it's pretty difficult to do so if you don't give them a way to contact you. Don't be the girl who says, yeah, call me, and then doesn't give the guy her number, right? You have to give them your information to be able to get contacted. Some information about that. You're going to want to use an address that is an address where you are receiving mail for an extended period of time. Don't give them the address of a place maybe that you're going to be moving from, right? Give them an address maybe such as your parents' house if you don't live there. Somewhere where it's solid that you know you're going to be getting mail, because if you move and they're sending you stuff, it could be a problem. Make sure you're giving them a solid phone number. Most people now have cell phones, right? So make sure you're giving them your cell phone number so they can contact you. If you have a home phone, it might be a good idea to put even another line and put home phone. And last, I'll just be honest with you all. Please provide a public appropriate email address. Okay, the next thing you're going to have on your resume will be your objective. This is just a general statement about what your goals are or what your goal is. So it's usually one sentence, and it's usually pretty basic. You can even change it depending on which job or which position you're applying for. So I obviously would apply to be a teacher because that's what I do. So mine says, to obtain a permanent position in secondary education that will allow me to build relationships and facilitate classroom learning. So it's just a very simple, but instead of saying I want to be a teacher, I kind of describe just a little bit of what I want to do. If you were going to have an objective like to work at Burger King, you might say something like, to obtain a position where I can grow myself as a leader and learn the ropes of charring perfect burgers. Make sense? The next spot you'll put is your education. And sometimes these are switched on different resumes, but I prefer to see education first because I like to see where are you educated and then what have you done with that education. So education, I obviously put all of the education, except for I'm missing one. My master's isn't on here, but I like to put the education with the most recent at the top. because they're going to want to see what's the highest level of education you have. And then from there, you can go down to your lowest form of education, which mine would be, I graduated from Standish Sterling Central High School. Notice how easy it is to differentiate between these, right? You can see clearly the bolding is different, the font size is different, there's good sufficient spacing here. It's all about being organized. The next step is going to be your experience. So now that you've attended school, what kind of experience do you have? Well, again, you start with the most recent experience and go from there. So I've worked at Pewamo Westphalia Community Schools. Here's the dates that I've worked here. And then here are some bullet points telling you what I did there. What were my responsibilities? Because you want to be able to show off what it is that you can do. But notice, it's short. It's not a paragraph. It's quick bullet points. Someone wants to be able to look at your resume and read through it very quickly. So I'd say, and you tend to use verbs here. Fostering authentic student-teacher relationships. Building positive classroom culture. Providing reading and writing strategies. Preparing the rigorous expectations of college and career. What this really means is I had to be nice to kids. I had to make sure everybody in the classroom treated each other good. I had to teach reading and writing. And I had to get them ready for the SAT. But you make it sound a lot better, right? Because this is your spot to show off. As you can see, before I worked at PW, I worked at Mid-Michigan Migrant in Belding as an English language learner teacher. Before that, I worked in the St. John's Public Schools. And before that, in North Kansas City Schools. So this is obviously my farthest away. Notice on here, this is my professional resume. I've had many other jobs besides these 4. But a resume is a living document. And what that means is, yes, I worked at McDonald's. Yes, I worked at Little Sicily Pizza. Yes, I was a nanny for 5 years. But notice none of those are on here. Because as you grow older, you end up adding more professional work and taking off some of that less professional work. Putting on here that I worked at McDonald's might not help me get a teaching job, right? But putting on here that I worked in a school district would. Currently, you probably don't have a lot of options with what your experience is, so you're going to put everything on there. But as you get older, you will take off some of those more menial positions and add on your more professional ones. Obviously, professional development, that is for a teacher. But those are just extra. You could put extra skills. You could put something like maybe your qualifications. Like if you're going to be a hairstylist, right? You could put down here extra qualifications. I can do eyelashes. I can do nails. I can do eyebrow waxing, right? So you're going to put all your other things. If you're going to be in IT, you might put that you're good at this program and that program. Okay, so those are just at the very end where you can put your extra skills that would make you more employable for that position. And then at the very bottom, you put references. References are people who are going to be called by that employer, and they're going to ask these people questions about you to see about your character and your work ethic. You're always going to want to put references that are not related to you. You cannot put references who are your family. These have to be professional references. For you at this point, it's going to be teachers. It's going to be coaches. It's going to be someone who you've worked for, an employer in the past. It might even be a youth leader or a pastor or minister, okay? These are the references that you are going to say good things about you. Please don't put somebody who's going to talk trash about you, because that's not going to help you get your job. So mine, I put Mr. Simmons because he's a principal, Miss Tannis because she runs the program I worked for, and Sheila Reminar because she's a special education teacher here in the building. So, letters upon request. You should always have those references, write you a letter of recommendation. There are many times where employers will not have time to necessarily call each of these people, so they will say, could you please send us letters of recommendation? That's where these people come in. They write you letters of recommendation and you send them in with your resume. Again, these are going to be letters that you want to be about you and personalized and talking good about you, not badly. Okay? All right, so this is what my resume looks like. It's pretty organized, easy to read, overall, quick to read. Got the good email. My name is right at the top in bold, and I'm ready to apply for a job. Okay, so examples of bad resumes. This resume. Mason, could you turn the lights off for just a second? Thank you. This resume is very pushed together. It's difficult to see what's going on here. There's a lot of information. There's no organization. Her name, it does not stick out whatsoever from anything else. It's not a good example of a resume that somebody would want to look at and think it's aesthetically pleasing. This resume, somebody wrote about their job. Remember when I said you're supposed to put bullet points about what you did in your job? Is anybody going to read this paragraph about what they did in their job? No. There's way too much information here about what they did in their job. Nobody cares, okay? They just want to know what are the couple things you did that you're most proud of in that job. We don't need a whole job description. This one wouldn't be so bad, except it's all center aligned. And your resume should be all left aligned. It makes it look unprofessional. This resume has colored lettering. Your resume should be written in black, or typed, in black. It should not have different colors all over the place. This is really difficult to read. What if someone's colorblind and can't see this? Okay? You have to do it in black. This one has the different colors that can't be seen by some people. And it's in this cursive-y, non-professional writing. It might look cute, but it is not in a professional font, which would be Times New Roman, Arial, the more block letter fonts. And this one, you really should not put images on your resume, especially one of a dancing lady. Okay? And if you read this, she said her objective is awesome graduate of life-seeking fun position requiring a cool girl with a great sense of humor. It's not professional language. Saying that you want to work somewhere and be a cool girl with a fun sense of humor is not professional. So these are all examples of bad resumes or bad examples of resumes so that you don't make those same mistakes.